Hola, ¿qué tal? Mi nombre es Fernando Ayuso, bienvenido a The Mexican Seaweed. Vamos con el intro. Este video será el primero de una serie de entrevistas que tendré con otros biólogos marinos de otras partes del mundo, donde nos platicarán sobre sus experiencias y otras cosas relacionadas con la biología marina. En esta ocasión te traigo una entrevista que tuve con un biólogo marino de Francia llamado Pierre. Él actualmente se encuentra estudiando su doctorado en Finlandia y es el creador de una cuenta de Instagram llamada OceanFact. En esta cuenta él sube datos interesantes sobre varios organismos marinos y otras cosas relacionadas con la biología marina. Te estaré dejando aquí abajo el link de su cuenta para que vayas a seguirlo. Después de esta breve introducción, pasamos al video. Vamos allá. At first, thanks for your time. My name is Fernando. I have to say that this video is for as I said, for my YouTube channel. The purpose of that YouTube channel and my blog is to share experience and information to people who is interested in studying marine biology or who is studying marine biology but would like to know another experience from other person. So that's why I started this, because I would like to share this kind of experience and even my experience with other people. So, well, Pierre, thanks for your time, and let's start. The first question is, when did you start interested in marine biology?
It's actually a very good question because nobody knows, not even me. I come from the countryside. I was born about 1,000 kilometers from the closest sea in France. I come from the Champagne region, so it's close to the German border, Belgian border.
Okay.
And I grew up spending almost all my summers in my grandma's farm.
Okay.
So I was in contact with animals, with nature, with agriculture, and so on. And my cousin, he became agriculture journalist.
Okay.
He is doing journalism on like agriculture equipment and such. So that would make sense, He would spend a lot of time at the farm. He would go in that direction. But for me, going towards marine biology, we are not sure. As long as I can remember, when I was 3 years old in I think it's elementary school, elementary school, the first school, I was drawing whales.
Okay.
Kinda, a kinda drawing like, that's a whale, that could be a fish, that could be anything. And to me it was whales. And I knew from the very start I wanted to do something with marine animals somehow.
Okay.
I didn't know if I wanted to become a marine biologist, but I had this dream and this direction set since the very beginning. And at some point when I turned 9 years old, something like this, I don't know how, but I fell in love with sharks.
Okay.
Sharks became everything, and I started. I think it's I used to go to my uncle. They were the first one in the family to get internet.
Okay.
So that must have been like a bit before 2000, and we would go online on the equivalent of Wikipedia or I don't know which website. And we made a folder with like basically a picture of each species of sharks and information on each species. And I learned everything. I was 9 years old. I learned everything. I knew everything about sharks. I absorbed books. I was going to every aquariums in France and elsewhere. Each time we would go on holidays, I would check, okay, we are close to the sea, there might be an aquarium. I want to go there. And that's when I decided, okay, I actually want to save sharks. So I wanted to become a vet for sharks.
Okay.
There's only one vet for shark in France. I wanted to be the second one. And after that, I think it's like the becoming a vet for sharks stayed until basically my bachelor. To become a vet in France, you have to go to engineer school.
To become
specialized
a
vet. Yeah,
vet?
it's
Okay.
like engineer equivalent school, but for vets.
Okay.
And you have to go in these very elitist schools before to take the concours.
Okay.
In high school, everything is about grades, ranks, if you want to get into those schools. And my grades were okay, but not, considering the competition, they were not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually failed to get in the vet concours preparation school, and that was one of the best things that happened to me.
Okay.
Then I went to the university, but I must say it's a very long way. Like becoming a marine biologist is a very long way. I'm doing my PhD right now, and
Okay.
I was talking to a friend earlier, and I realized I've been in the university for 10 years.
You started college and then you started a master, or you go direct?
Yeah.
You were direct to PhD.
No, so I went for the classical system in France. So you do a bachelor in 3 years, and you do a master's in 2 years,
2 years.
and then you do a PhD. In France, it would be 3 years. In Finland, it's 4 years.
Okay.
And I'm actually a bit over 4 years. If I wanted to graduate on time, I should have graduated a month ago.
Okay.
Things happen during the PhD.
Yeah.
You never know what's going, so you get stuck in one project, and then you have to.
Yeah. I think it's kind of difficult, but I think you enjoy that, right? Yeah, it's pretty. Science is pretty cool. Most of the time.
At the moment, I'm not sure I enjoy it, or I know why I'm not enjoying it. There are things that I wanted to do during my PhD, things that went well, things that I had to forget about.
Yeah.
And there are tasks that I wanted to do, like teaching, for example,
Okay.
or do even more science communication, really integrate my science communication project into my PhD. But I was not really allowed to do that, or they felt that it was a waste of time, or because of the projects that didn't go well and made me lose time, I didn't have the time safety to actually do more for what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So I'm keeping that for after my PhD, and right now I'm just like, grinding the next few months and last few months to get my PhD done, and then I can focus on other things.
Yeah. Okay. The second question is, well, right now, are you working in something related to marine biology? Like, I mean, in any project or something like that?
Yes. So I have a full-time position as a PhD student in the university, and basically I'm employed to do research. I'm a early career scientist, but I still have supervision. I have a PhD advisor, and I run my own projects. I get help, or I start collaborations. For example, my most recently published article was a collaboration I started within my PhD program. So I was a Marie Curie, or I'm not a Marie Curie fellow, but I'm in a Marie Curie training network. So it's a big opportunity for fundings in Europe, and there was this big training network that got funded with 15 PhD students in 7 universities across Europe. And one of the big ideas of Marie Curie is that you have to be mobile. You have to go somewhere else. So for example, if I wanted to apply to Marie Curie in France, I would not have been allowed to do that because I come from France, and I would not have been allowed to do that either in Norway because I did my master thesis in Norway. I also applied in Germany. I got the position, and it's actually the person I collaborated with in this big scientific project that took the position in Germany, and I was more interested in the topic that I got in Finland. So Well, I had to move to Finland. It's my first plan was to go to Australia
Okay.
to sort of like work on sharks or find a way to work with sharks.
Yeah.
I tried for my master's. I ended up in Norway, and then I ended up in Finland. So I'm getting there, but you know,
Yeah.
instead of going south, I'm going
Yeah.
up and all the way around.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, what is your topic of interest in marine biology?
Well, my first topic of interest was to work with sharks.
Okay.
But one of the things you have to realize when you are a marine biologist,
Mm-hmm.
and right now I'm talking to all the students who wants to study marine biology that
Yeah.
are out there, you have to realize that if your interest is working on dolphins, working on sharks, working on turtles, working on whales, forget about it. You'll never get a job. It's too specific.
Yeah.
It's like the dream job of the marine biologist, and it's if you go too specific, when the public fundings are actually looking for more like global studies, you will never get funded. So you have to do like I did, is that you don't have to forget about your dream of working with sharks or whales, etc. But you have to take a broader perspective. So that advice, that's actually my master's first advisor who told me that. So during the first year of the master's, I was working with something totally different and something I would have never imagined studying. I was working on brittle starfish.
Okay.
And not anything in brittle starfish. I was working on larvae of brittle starfish.
Okay.
In the English Channel,
Yeah.
close to the coast of France in Brittany, you find thousands of adult individuals of Ophiocomina nigra, the black brittle star,
Okay.
per square meter. It's like 3,000 adults per
Yeah.
square meter. They
Wow.
crawl on top of each other. It's insane.
Yeah.
And we were trying to understand why. So the hypothesis was that either it's the adults that are reproducing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They make a lot of eggs, and then you have a lot of larvae, and you get a lot of adults.
Mm-hmm.
Or they make good quality eggs, and then you have a few larvae that manage to survive and settle as juveniles and then grow as adults. So my part of the project was to try to identify the larvae and try to explain this boom burst dynamics
Okay.
by is it the larvae that is actually responsible for the expansion of this species.
Okay.
And that's actually a good way to talk about OceanFact later on,
Yeah.
because that's how I started. We'll go back to this. But when I was on board a boat, we went on a cruise for 2 days, and I was in charge of sampling. My supervisor at the time asked me, so what do you want to do? Do you want to do a PhD? Are you interested in research? And what's your topic of interest? And I told him about sharks. It took him 10 seconds or less to tell me, forget about it.
Yeah.
And it's actually not a bad idea. I haven't forgot about it. It's still in the back of my head, and I'm
Yeah.
still thinking about moving to Australia and working with sharks.
Yeah.
But I discovered other perspectives that make working with sharks even more interesting.
Okay.
So the topic I have right now is food webs.
Okay.
So networks of Huitsum in the sea. And I tried to remember when I decided on a topic different from sharks, what interested me when I took ecology classes in the bachelor. And something that really fascinated me was interactions between species. Not
Okay.
only trophic interactions, predator and prey, but other types of interactions, symbiosis. There are really weird stuff out there, like host pathogen interactions and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, sharks are predators. I could be interested in other big predators like orcas, the polar bear, or whales and such. So maybe actually studying food webs would be a good thing. And when I was looking for a master thesis, I found this opportunity to go to Tromsø, food web that includes the polar bear. So I had the
Okay.
polar bear in my data. I didn't go there. I still hope to go there
Okay.
and see the polar bear and whales and orcas. But at least I studied that ecosystem.
Okay.
And that was my first touch into the world of food webs. And after that, I was like, okay, that's actually a really good topic. There are not so many people working on that topic, so I would be able to find a job. And with food webs, what is cool is that you can study food webs in very different ways. So the approach that I take is the static approach. I look at the architecture of the ecosystem, so how species interact and how the network looks like.
Okay.
And you can also look at the dynamics of the ecosystem through food
Mhm.
webs. So how the flows of energy go from the plant to the herbivores to the primary consumers or
Yeah.
primary level of predators and so on.
Yeah.
And that gives you so many information on how the ecosystem is functioning.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. I think that you have to looking for a lot of information, and you have samples. I mean, you go to the field. No, you just
I did it once
okay.
for 3 months. So one of my projects that I'm trying to finish up right now,
Okay.
it's gonna be the masterpiece of, I hope so at least,
Yeah.
gonna be the masterpiece of my PhD. It's an empirical study where we went to the field to collect organisms, study their diet, and describe them in terms of biological traits.
Okay.
So their morphology and their habits, and try to understand why certain predators target certain prey. So do profiling for predators basically. And that will help me in the future try to infer, if I don't have data for a specific species,
Okay.
try to infer what they might feed on or with which species they might interact. So for example, I can describe the morphology. This guy swims at the speed of, 20 miles per hour. It's probably impossible. And it has a big mouth with sharp teeth. I know that these other species that look pretty much the same and has the same characteristics feeding on that. So maybe if they occur in the same environment, they might actually interact.
Okay.
And then I can try probabilities of those two species to interact and try to build a food web, a more detailed food web that could be close to the reality.
It seems a little bit complicated, but yeah, it is really interesting. Okay, the next question is what has been your best experience being a marine biologist?
Well, in terms of field work, I think it was the field work I did during my master thesis, like the first 2 months project, because I was on a scientific boat.
Okay.
With my background is my master's was more into oceanography, biological oceanography.
Okay.
Less marine biology, and I was on board this boat. I had all the fancy engineer equipment, the CTD. I was in charge of recording data with the CTD, in real time,
Okay.
trying to identify at which depth we were supposed to sample. And it's one of the best experience because those 2 days we had massive waves.
Okay.
I never get sick. I never get seasick, almost never get seasick. But those 2 days on board that tiny boat, looking at the screen to try to identify the layer, and then looking at the buckets to pick the samples and prepare and filter everything.
Yeah.
I got so sick.
Yeah.
I got so sick that I had to stop working on the first day.
Okay.
I had to try to do different things, but we had to still sample. So my supervisor went behind the computer and he
Okay.
got sick as well.
Yeah.
And then someone else went behind the computer and got sick.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's only the sailman.
Okay. Yeah.
Who are in charge of the boat.
Yeah.
And a scientist who was used to go to sample at sea in very terrible conditions.
Yeah.
That managed to survive. And they gave me actually one of the best advice ever. If you get seasick and you start vomiting,
Yeah.
the best thing you can do to yourself is eat bananas.
Okay.
Because bananas, first they will fill your stomach.
Yeah.
So it's best to actually puke something.
Yeah.
And they are as nice coming in inside your esophagus when as nice coming in as coming out.
Okay.
It's still sweet when it's coming out.
Yeah.
So at the end of the first day, we stayed in a hotel.
Okay.
We were going down the coast.
Mm-hmm.
I went to there was a very local, very small shop. I went there and I bought a lot of bananas.
Yeah.
And that was really, I mean, when I was there, feeling sick, that was probably not the nicest moments of
Yeah.
my life, but
Yeah.
when you think of it, being on board a boat, enjoying the sun, and then I really felt like I was becoming a marine biologist, and it's really something I remember vividly. It's so one of the best experiences. But then, it's not all about science. One of the very good experience I have as well is through the PhD and this training network.
Okay.
Is the possibility to start my PhD with other PhD students across the globe,
Okay.
or across Europe, and to find support and find people to collaborate with.
Okay.
Or one of the nice things with this Marie Curie program
Mm-hmm.
is that they really want us to go abroad, to move around, go to conferences,
Yeah.
collaborate in different universities elsewhere, and they give you enough money for that so that you can actually go.
So. Okay.
And I went to quite many conferences, and one of the things that one of the nice experiences is that at one conference I had someone coming up to me who recognized me from OceanFact,
Okay.
who knew me through Suzanne, who became a member of the team for OceanFact. They were doing their PhD together in the same university,
Okay.
and that's where I felt like I'm becoming a marine biologist, and I'm part of this family.
Yeah.
Marine biology. People get to know me even across the globe, and it's like I had someone from Australia, so I was like putting some salt on my wounds, like
Yeah.
I want to be in Australia so much. Someone from Australia who knew a friend I was studying with in Paris,
Mm-hmm.
who is doing his PhD in Australia, and who knew OceanFact as well.
Okay.
And I've never met that person. I've never had any contact from people from Australia.
Okay.
So it's it's very small world.
Yeah.
So I think that's my two experiences.
That's
Very
okay.
nice.
Pretty
Field
cool.
work and then the possibility to travel and meet people.
And meet people, yeah. Tell us a little bit about your project OceanFact. What did inspire you to create this project that you have?
It's so that's actually a funny story
Okay.
because I never planned to create OceanFact.
Okay.
It was not my plan. I mentioned earlier that during the first year of my master thesis, I was studying this larvae of brittle starfish,
Yeah.
and so that was the first time I worked with plankton.
Okay.
I'm more someone who enjoy studying things that he can see without a microscope.
Yeah.
So fish, marine mammals, etc. Tiny things, not so much.
Okay.
But when I took that project, we sampled plankton, and then I was amazed at the diversity I found in my samples and all the things I could see. So that's the first time I discovered Instagram. My friends told me about Instagram, and they were using it for taking pictures of their holidays, and I don't really see myself sharing my life online with bites of my holidays and such, but I could use it differently. I could make myself a portfolio of the species I observed, and in the description put the taxonomic keys, so how I would identify those species. Okay. And if I would come across those species later in different samples, maybe it will be easier to identify them. Yeah. So that's how I started. So I took very terrible pictures. If you scroll down my accounts, you find pictures I took with the phone through the binoculars of the microscope, and the quality is terrible. But I knew what was on the picture, and then I put the description. Okay, this is a larvae of Ophiocomina nigra, and I identify it because it has 6 arms with little bumps and such. And after doing that, a bit every day, being in the lab, I realized that my following was actually starting to grow. Whoa. I was getting more and more followers without putting hashtags or anything. And I was like, how is this possible? It's like people are actually getting interested in this. And I continued on this, and I was like, okay, maybe I could actually share bites of my life. And my life is about marine biology. I'm studying marine biology, so I could share what is it to be on a daily basis to become a marine biologist and what we're studying and everything. So when I went I started the second year of the masters, I was in the marine station. Okay. We had classes at sea, we were sampling, we had different exercise, data analysis, etc. So I documented that. Took pictures at sea, the organisms we were sampling, and my following started to grow even more. And I had marine biologists from elsewhere that started following me, and I continued that further, going to Norway, being in Tromsø. And that's when someone who became a very special person for OceanFact started following me. That was scientific diver on Instagram, Suzanne. She's one of my very first followers on Instagram, and she later became the second in command for OceanFact. She joined me, and we started making facts together. And then more people joined in, people who she met during a PhD. So after the masters, I think we have been for the chronology, I think we have been working for OceanFact together at least during my master thesis, or maybe she joined after I graduated from the masters. and when I worked on growing OceanFact, she joined. Then she started a PhD. She went to Coast University with her boyfriend, or now husband, Felix, who I'm not sure of his pseudonym on Instagram, but they always publish together. So.
Yeah.
And then he joined the team as well.
Okay.
And then I went to a conference in Germany, and I met other people there who knew OceanFact and joined the team, and it grew like this from members to members. At the moment, I'm alone because we all started doing PhDs, and we all at some point we all reached a point that it became too much. For example, last year, I stopped OceanFact for basically a year. It was I was stuck in this project in the North Sea that was sucking all my time and energy, and it was not moving forward. I was stuck with it, so I was completely demotivated. That's one of the the truth about the PhD. You have to keep the motivation going, and it's really difficult. And I completely gave up on OceanFact. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I have to get things done with my PhD, and I'm gonna stop this. And we all did the same. So Suzanne is trying to finish her PhD as well in a couple of months. Felix is in the same going the same way with his PhD. I have trouble, with time, because time is flying. And for me, I'm still at the beginning of my PhD, and actually 4 years passed already. So then we have some people moving to different countries for work, so we all a bit stopped. But I know they are still interested in working on this project. So I'm growing the project in a different direction.
The last question is, what advices can you give to people who want to study marine biology?
First thing, don't forget the stats. Stats and maths are going to be very important. If you are good in stats and maths, you have higher chances to get a job. And I mean, on your daily basis, you will need the stats, so you will be able to do fancier things, try new things, try new techniques, and have a very cool scientific career. Second thing is that you can start now marketing your science or marketing yourself as a scientist or as a student of science by doing science communication. We all have things to share. I started when I was still a student with OceanFact and blogs and things like this. Whatever you can do now to work to build your science communication skills will only help you in the future. One last piece of advice would be the university and higher education is not everything. It's not gonna teach you everything, and it's not gonna prepare you for a scientific career. You will have the scientific knowledge, you might have the statistical background through your education, but there are plenty more skills that you would need that are not taught in science. For example, if you study science, you're not gonna study graphic design. If you want to study graphic design, you're gonna go to a graphic design school. And if you're a graphic designer, you're not gonna study scientific illustration. There might be specific programs for that, but it's not your main goal. You learn graphic design. As a scientist, if you know graphic design, you will be able to make nice, fancy illustrations for your scientific articles that sell. When you send your manuscript to an editor and you have a nice conceptual model, a nice graphic that explains your research in simpler ways, this gives you so much higher chances to get published. It will make your life way easier. If you take online courses or you read books and you try to learn by yourself, you can learn at your own pace.
Yeah.
You're studying at the university, you can surely take 1 hour every week or every 2 weeks to try to learn something else.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
We
you.
stay in touch.
Yeah. Bye.
Espero te haya gustado este video y hayas aprendido algo nuevo. Te invito a que te suscribas al canal, actives la campana de notificaciones, dejes un like, comentario y compartas este video con todos tus conocidos para que poco a poco vaya creciendo este gran canal. De igual forma te invito a que me sigas en redes sociales para que estés al tanto de todo el nuevo contenido que estaré subiendo al canal. Y bueno, por mi parte es todo, nos vemos en el próximo video. Se despide de ti Fernando, hasta pronto.